Greetings, adventurers, and welcome back to the Den of the Drake. Other dragons hoard gold, while I hoard internet cringe. In an RPG, the game master is supposed to be all-powerful, right? We all know the Spider-Man quote, "Great power, great responsibility, dead uncles are the key to happiness, yada yada yada." Power corrupts, folks. Some nerd is given the first whiff of power he's ever had in his entire life, and next thing you know, while you're all role-playing goblins and wizards, he's role-playing Joseph Stalin. Yeah, a power-tripping DM is simultaneously one of the most annoying and sad things you can encounter in this role-playing game hobby of ours. Why is that? Well, let's be real. If you've looked at an American politician recently, you should know that it's always the weirdest of weirdos who cling to power the tightest. The story I have for you today stars a DM whose psyche is so fragile that the second he gets a promotion to the GM chair, he immediately uses his new position to throw his weight around. And if you're a new player, well, let's just say that things as petty as the rules of the damn game won't be enough to save you. Now, without any further delay, let's go ahead and dive right into the horrifying world of r/RPG horror stories. Enjoy. This week's story comes from Reddit user Ultimate Chaos 233 and is titled DM Bends Rules to Target New Player, Kills Them Before They Get to Act in Combat. This first part is edited from my post on a different subreddit to remove rules/system questions I had. This is about a Pathfinder 2nd Edition game, and I know most folks are used to D&D. The most relevant thing about Pathfinder 2nd Edition is that critical fails and successes are not directly tied to rolling 1s and 20s. It's about getting 10 higher or 10 lower than the DC. Every +1 is valuable, and you add your level to proficient rolls. So if the enemy would normally only crit on a 20 against a level 10 player, it would crit on a 19 or a 20 against the same player if they were level 9, etc, etc. Another relevant rule is that many bonuses just don't stack. You just get the highest one. I decided to look for a Pathfinder 2nd Edition game and try it out, as most of my experience was with different versions of D&D as well as Pathfinder 1e. GM told me to learn the rules and make a character and suggested different resources to do so. I built a fighter with the Alchemist dedication, Pathfinder 2nd Edition's version of multiclassing. As I arrived, he went on a bit of a rant about how he's had problems with players who were new to the group in the past, and how he really had to make sure that newcomers were serious and dedicated. He also mentioned things like, "Do not ever complain to other players or discuss things with them. Come to me instead. This has to be followed so I can make sure that this is a safe and supportive environment." I didn't think too much of it. I'm grateful I've only ever had to kick one player from my tables in all the times that I've GM'd. I tend to give people the benefit of the doubt, and especially GMs as they have a lot on their plate. The party balance was 3 established players and 2 newcomers, myself included. The other newcomer was the only girl at the table and was definitely relying on the DM to help her with the rules, figure out how to play, how to build their character, etc, etc. He said, however, that she was playing a fighter, and that I should really do what's best for the party and play something else, but that he's not forcing me to change right now, so I can change between sessions. I was super bummed out about this. I had worked hard to plan and build my character, and had even asked what sort of characters the party could use before building them. So my goal was frontline to take some of the edge off for the squishies while using alchemists like elixirs/mutagens for support. The other players very respectfully told him that he should back off a bit and that their party has been fairly imbalanced at times previously before, and it has been fine, and that it's more important for people to just play what they find fun and enjoy. I just told him that I'd think about it. What followed in my mind was a series of events I didn't think too much about or understand until later, but in hindsight was rule bending to target me and my character. After some roleplay and introduction to the party, we were going through a dungeon that I suspected had traps. I wasn't sure what sort of support stuff to prepare and was excited because I had prepared an elixir that gave me a substantial bonus to trap detection. I rolled extremely well and was told that there were no traps on the door we were about to open. Cool, we opened it and I repeated that I'd like to keep my eye out for traps as we went down the hallway. He said something like, "I bet you would, wouldn't you?" That left me kinda confused, but he didn't let me roll anything and he didn't roll himself. So I just assumed that there were no traps and he was just getting annoyed that I asked. 3 steps later, we all fall into a trap. He started lecturing us on how it's always important DM to specifically say that you're looking for traps. One player pointed out that I did say explicitly that I was looking for traps, and he responded that I wouldn't have seen the trap anyway. I just figured that every table is gonna have a rule adjudication that I didn't agree with as a player, so no big deal, right? I'm kinda embarrassed on how naive I was. Boy, oh boy, yes OP, naive you were indeed. Let me tell you, the second I heard that golden line about, "Don't ever complain to other players or discuss things with them, come to me instead," I'd be fleeing faster than Jack Doherty crashes his Lamborghinis. Or at least I'd be bringing my own drinks, because there's no way there isn't some tainted Kool-Aid being passed around at this cult gathering. If someone shows you who they are, believe them. And the fact that this guy has such a rapid turnover rate of new players is a huge red flag, and shows that this guy's completely incapable of self-reflection. Gee, numbnuts, I wonder what the reason why you can't hold on to players might be. It couldn't possibly be the way you run your game, oh no. Oh, I know what it is. It's because other players talk to each other. Oh, everyone knows that socializing and making connections with other people is definitely a recipe for getting someone to quit. You better cut that out entirely. You wouldn't want anyone to think this wasn't a safe and supportive space, right? Fun fact, but if you need to verbalize that an arbitrary ruling is to facilitate a safe and supportive space, odds are you probably don't have a safe and supportive space. For me personally, when I see the word safe being used as a selling point, I immediately bring my guard up, because I don't trust anyone trying to use what should be the default to market something to me. The DM's passive hostility really rubs me the wrong way, too. As a DM, I love new players. They got these bright eyes that look at the concept of joining your group in a way that the seasoned players don't do, you know? Plus, one of the major joys we have in this life is sharing our interests with people we mustered up the energy to give a damn about. So I gotta ask, why would you actively try and ruin that not only for the players, but for yourself? My only guess is that you're trying to stay miserable for the sake of having an interesting IRL backstory. Because nobody likes to spend time around people who make them feel valued and act as catalysts for fun times, right? You dork. Anyway, we came across some golem guards that we tried to bluff, and we failed a roll after a few minutes of talking to them, so we rolled initiative. I had War Cry, a free chance to frighten the enemy during initiative. But he told me that these creatures don't have any emotions, so they can't be frightened. He also ruled that since we didn't explicitly say we were leaving the hallway to enter the room with the guards, that we were all stuck in the hallway, and the guards get to surround us and keep us stuck there. Since I said that I was helping the first character bluff, I was also standing in front with them. Anyway, the guards hit me and knocked me into a nearby wall in the hallway. I rolled a save, failed, and lost like 40% of my health from the one attack. But at least I was no longer standing next to the enemies. Another character got the same treatment, failed, and got knocked into the wall. The DM told me I took another big batch of damage for another 40% of my health left. I thought that was pretty odd because I didn't get to roll anything, which other players also pointed out. But he told me it was from the other player getting hit into me. Then he also said because that player is in my space now, I get pushed back to where I was before I got moved. So I was now in melee range with the enemies again, and became prone in the process. The enemy then proceeded to attack me several more times, with multiple attacks being critical hits, which are more likely the lower level you are and the worse your gear is. I started dying. The party did their best to try to heal me / pick me up, but the enemies just kept attacking me while I was down before I could even stand up. One of them said they were using some sort of fear effect on the enemy targeting me, and the DM said, okay. Another player pointed out that the DM didn't let me try to frighten the enemies. The DM responded that fear is mental, but scaring someone is emotional. So the fear works on the golem, but not the fright. The other players pointed out that the fear ability in question had both mental and emotion traits. He got a bit angry and said fine, neither of them worked. The DM then suggested to me that I retreat, and it would be fine as long as the enemies didn't have the ability to attack as a reaction. In Pathfinder 2e, opportunity attacks are not available via default. It's a fighter ability. I retreated, and he eagerly cackled and said that they did have that ability, which they crit on again, so I was dying. On the enemy's turn, he gleefully announced that the same enemy for sure was attacking me while I was down. I was wondering if I just built my character poorly, and when another player was going over my sheet with me, they caught something. Wait, what? You're level 12? We're all level 13. The DM said, "It's because they are new players. Once I determine they are able to, they will level up to match the party." I also found out later that my gear was considerably worse, so the chance to crit against me was probably 3 to 4 times that of some other players. I also realized that despite building for support, there actually wasn't much I could do to help. Being underleveled and undergeared meant that they had constant/passive bonuses that were greater than what my temporary buffs could give. They even had on-demand healing that outstripped the healing from my consumables. I was a bit bummed and mentioned that I had to sacrifice quite a bit to gain these support abilities, since I gave up class progression for multi-class progression in order to better support the party, which caused the players to immediately turn to the GM and say, "You gave us all 3 archetypes, multi-classes. Why doesn't the new player have the same?" He responded with his same mantra of, "They are a new player. I have had bad experiences with new players in the past. This is just until I know that they are dedicated." The other players tried to heal me twice, but the DM kept downing me again before my turn, and then started downing the players who were trying to heal me. At this point, I saw the writing on the wall and basically said, "Hey, I appreciate it, guys, but mechanically they're just gonna keep downing me. I don't think I'll be able to contribute much in combat, and narratively, you just met me. You guys have a better chance to survive if you just let me die." They seemed apprehensive at first, but healed the player who tried to help me first, and then the enemy's turn came around and it spent all of its attacks finishing me off. It was around this time that the other new player bowed out, saying that they had to be somewhere. I started packing it in as well, but the DM said, "Oh, this session is still going. You can just make a new character." Then proceeded to tell me how bad I built my character, how orcs are the class you want for tanks and melee. It's a common rookie mistake to take intimidation-related skill feats, etc., etc. He said I could play the character for the new player who left, but that any gold/loot/bonuses would not be kept by me. I agreed and figured that it was still experience learning the system, so I tried to stick around for longer. Combat continued and he skipped my turn. When I asked if I could take my turn, he said, "Okay." I approached the nearest enemy, attacked them, and then he told me the enemy self-destructed in my face, hurt everyone in the party, and took another huge chunk of my HP, which seemed random and vindictive. He also said the rest of the party found a huge amount of gold similar to the amount I got during character creation, which just really drove home how undergeared I was. There was another encounter that was more social focused, and the party, except me, got rewarded with a permanent +1 buff to pretty much any D20 roll and all their stats, which kinda made the party another level above me. Mathematically, sans abilities, I mean. I realized at this point I would never be able to contribute to the rest of the party and decided to pack it in. The DM seemed a bit shocked and confused and wanted me to stay, but the rest of the players said they had to get going too. One of the other players told me what happened during the game was pretty messed up and took some time to explain some of the rules and how they were bent to my disadvantage, which I really did appreciate as I was new to the system and had wondered if it was just coincidence, bad luck, or me not understanding the rules. If any of the other players are reading this, you are all fantastic and a blast to play with. Sorry, I know I said I was planning on giving this DM a second chance, but after some reflection, I've decided to not return. TLDR, DM bends rules to target a new player, kills them before they can do anything in combat. End of story. Well, isn't this GM cute? OP didn't leave when he should've, but he was smart enough never to return, and that's definitely gotta count for something. This is easily one of the more loathsome DMs in my humble opinion, because I definitely have a soft spot for new players. In every campaign I've run, most of the party was made up of new players, because I'm the kind of guy who brings D&D with me wherever I end up. But if I'm being perfectly honest with myself, it's probably because I'm too much of a coward to talk about myself around new people and tend to shift subjects towards shared interests, and that usually ends up with strangers literally watching me go goblin mode behind a DM screen. That's right, I got that social anxiety riz. Get on my level, plebeians, but I digress. Like I said earlier, new players have a certain aura of enthusiasm about them that makes them some of the most fun players to have at the table. Now I know that OP is not like brand new to RPGs as a whole, and I know that they're just new to this particular group, but either way, my point still stands. First impressions are everything, so not only is this chuckle ruining the experience of a new player, but potentially the experience of any many other people this person gets to play with, if they decide to play again at all. The stereotype of the elitist dork gatekeeping their niche hobby while clutching their pearls against their sweaty man boobs has been a bitch to break. So the last thing I want as a figure in this community is to somehow plant the idea that this behavior is normal. Look, if you're into my videos and haven't played a role-playing game yet, I highly encourage you to not let losers like the ones who appear in my videos discourage you from trying something new. This community is great, and these videos are designed as learning opportunities for us to make our games even better. And it lets me talk smack and get paid for it. Whoopsie, showed my hand. Oh, someone sent me fan art! Oh, what? They shouldn't have. You know what time it is. That's right. How about we dive into this week's Gallery of the Drake? This week's fan art comes from viewer Training Magician 98 and depicts the Drake lying upon his grand hoard. Can I get real with you guys for a sec? Oh, being a YouTuber is so exhausting and I'm so damn tired all the time. I really have no idea what it could be. Yeah, Doc, my sleep has been awful. Plus every night I wake up with the worst pain in my back. I'm a high-level boss monster. Spine pain is for low-level losers. Do you think it might have something to do with the fact that your mattress is just posts from Reddit that you've printed out from the internet and shaped into a pile? Wow. Screw you, man. If I wanted my life decisions criticized in such a condescending way, I would have just visited my parents. Thank you again, Training Magician 98, for submitting your art. If you'd like to see your fan art featured in Gallery of the Drake, be sure to upload it to the official Den of the Drake subreddit linked in my description. Fan art is my favorite part of doing YouTube, and it means the world to me that I can inspire artists like you to create artwork like this. With the story over and artwork displayed, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and upload your fan art to the Den of the Drake subreddit. And if you feel like supporting the channel further, my Patreon and merchandise links are in the description. I would like to thank you all for listening, and I hope to see you next time in the Den of the Drake.